Welcome to our channel where we reveal the secrets behind the Hollywood glamour. Today we will step into the world of Merv Griffin, the genius who created Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, who built a billion-dollar empire but was haunted by a shocking scandal in 1991. From the height of fame to the accusations that shook Hollywood, this story will keep you glued to your eyes. Do you think Merv can overcome this stain? Let's turn this chapter. Get ready to discover the dramatic journey of Merv Griffin, the genius who created Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune and built a billion-dollar empire. But the shocking scandal of 1991 has cast a shadow with shocking allegations and behind-the-scenes secrets that rocked Hollywood. This story will make you question the truth behind the glamour. Don't blink, things are about to get exciting. Do you think the 1991 scandal really shaped how people viewed Merv Griffin? If you think it had a big impact on his legacy, leave a 1, if not, leave a 0. Enjoy the video and don't forget to like and sub to support us. Merv Griffin had it all. He created Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, owned hotels, and made billions. Hollywood loved him. But in 1991, two men sued him. One sought $200 million in alimony, the other accused him of sexual harassment. Both suits were dismissed, but the damage was done. Even after his death in 2007, the rumors persisted. He built an empire, but these allegations were the one stain he could not erase. Merv Griffin was born on July 6, 1925 in San Mateo, a quiet upscale suburb near San Francisco. His family had money, but it did not last. When the Great Depression hit his father, a stockbroker, lost much of his fortune. They moved into a small apartment. Merv had to share a room with his sister. That early sense of financial insecurity stuck with him for the rest of his life. Even though he would go on to create billion-dollar game shows, he grew up knowing that everything could disappear quickly. Merv was unpopular at school. He was overweight, weighing about 250 pounds as a teenager, and shy. He didn't fit in, but he had something most kids didn't have: talent. At age 7, a priest spotted him humming in tune while waiting for confession. He soon joined the church choir. By age 10, he was playing Bach on the church organ, his feet barely touching the pedals. By age 15, he was earning $35 a week, the equivalent of about $650 today, as a full-time organist. He practiced for hours a day sometimes until his fingers bled, and he did it all without a single music lesson, learning by ear and possessing perfect pitch. Merv had ambitions too. He joined ROTC in college and lost 25 pounds to meet military standards. But in 1944, at age 18, a heart murmur prevented him from serving in World War II. About 39% of his classmates went off to war, but Merv stayed behind. This made him feel guilty, so he did what he could. He performed in 127 USO shows over the next 2 years, entertaining wounded soldiers in California hospitals. Not being drafted into the Army was an advantage. While others were in the field, Merv had no competition in the entertainment industry and used his time well. After his first major radio appearance in 1944, audiences were shocked by his appearance. He had a great voice but was still heavy. Determined to change, Merv lost 80 pounds in 4 months. His diet was strict black coffee, 1 meal a day, and cigarettes. But it worked. Freddie Martin, a famous band leader, heard him on the radio and offered him a job for $250 a week, 4 times his previous income. Over the next 4 years, Merv toured 47 states with Martin's orchestra. He learned how to draw crowds. At the Roosevelt Hotel in New York, he performed night after night for stars like Frank Sinatra. They recorded 32 songs together, and their biggest hit, the Trolley song, reached number 18 on the Billboard charts. Finally, they argued over royalties. Merv gave up his $400 a week salary to bet on himself. The gamble paid off. On November 12, 1948, Merv talked his way into the Coconut Grove, one of LA's most glamorous nightclubs. He lied, saying that Sinatra had introduced him and that he was already a headliner in San Francisco. Neither was true. He was given a 15-minute opening slot, singing a fun British song called "I've Got a Lovely Bunch of Coconuts." The crowd went wild. He was called back 3 more times. That performance led to a 6-week contract at $850 a week and a deal with RCA Victor just 2 days later. The song went on to sell 3.4 million copies. Decades later, Merv built a tribute nightclub in his hotel, the Coconut Club, in memory of the song that started it all. But even before that, Merv had started his own record label. At 19, he launched Panda Records. It was a bold move, and the first album, Songs by Merv Griffin, 1946, became the first American album to be recorded on magnetic tape. This was more than just a small note. It changed the way records were made. While most artists had no control over how their music was produced, Merv controlled every aspect. Coconuts made him famous, but Merv went on to prove that he was more than just a one-hit wonder. His next song, Wilhelmina, was a jazzy tune that was nominated for an Oscar. He followed that up with Never Been Kissed and Music, both hits. These songs helped him land film roles, especially as he proved his ability to sing, act, and engage audiences. His big break in Hollywood came through Doris Day. She saw him perform at a nightclub and was so impressed that she pulled strings to get him auditioned at Warner Brothers. He didn't get the part she was after, but he got something bigger, a contract. That deal opened the door to more film roles. Merv and Doris remained friends for decades. She appeared on his talk show many times, and he always credited her with launching his film career. One of his first major films was So This Is Love, 1953. In the film, Merv kisses co-star Katherine Grayson on screen. It sounds simple now, but it wasn't then. Open-mouthed kisses were forbidden by the strict Hollywood code of the time. The kiss was one of the first attempts to challenge the Hays Code, which banned anything deemed too sexually explicit. Merv didn't mean to start a revolution, but in that moment he did. The kiss pushed Hollywood closer to breaking censorship rules. But deep down, Merv Griffin couldn't stand the slow pace of filmmaking. Waiting hours to say 2 lines in an inappropriate role wasn't his style. He wanted energy, feedback, and above all, freedom. So he made a bold move. He bought out his contract with Warner Brothers and left Hollywood. What happened next changed everything. In 1958, he began hosting a new game show called Play Your Hunch. It wasn't just any show. The show started on CBS, then moved to ABC in early 1959, and finally found a permanent home on NBC. Appearing on all 3 networks was almost unprecedented. The format was simple: trust your gut and pick the right answer. But behind the scenes, it launched careers for many. A young Robert Redford appeared. So did future news anchor Ted Koppel. Even anchor Johnny Olson got his start there, replacing Griffin twice. Griffin quickly gained fans, but not everyone was on board. Do you think Merv Griffin deliberately built a public image to hide his private life? If you felt he skillfully managed the rumors surrounding the 1991 scandal, leave a 2. If you think he couldn't handle them, leave a 5. Enjoy the video, like it, and leave a sub to support us. He had a long-standing feud with another host, Robert Q. Lewis. When Lewis later took over the show, Griffin quipped that old Four Eyes doesn't have what the public wants. I do. As his popularity grew, ABC saw an opportunity to put him in prime time. They gave him Keep Talking in 1959. The show had a clever format: celebrity guests guessed secret words while a teammate told a story without saying the word directly. The twist was that the story would jump between guests. They had to keep the story moving without missing a beat. Griffin handled it all with ease alongside stars like Orson Bean, Joey Bishop, and Jane Meadows. The show ended in 1960, but Griffin was no longer just a daytime character. He had proven he could command prime time. By 1963, Griffin's talents had caught NBC's attention again. This time, they offered him something bigger. He not only hosted, but also produced. The show, word for word, marked the beginning of Griffin's behind-the-scenes influence. Just a few months earlier, NBC had canceled his first daytime talk show despite critical acclaim. But Griffin had negotiated wisely. His contract allowed him to stay on as a producer. That little clause opened the door to the next chapter. It also provided him with the crucial experience that would help him create two of the most iconic game shows in history: Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. Griffin didn't give up on talk shows, though. In fact, his big break came by accident. One morning while filming Play Your Hunch, Jack Paar, the host of The Tonight Show, wandered into the studio. Instead of panicking, Griffin seized the opportunity. He interviewed Paar on the spot. That impromptu moment led to him being named Par's replacement. During the transition period between Par's departure and Johnny Carson's arrival, Griffin was NBC's most successful replacement. They didn't make him a permanent replacement, but gave him his own daytime talk show. The show debuted the same day Carson debuted, October 1st, 1962. Griffin's show initially ran for only 6 months, but he didn't stop. In 1965, he brought the show back through Westinghouse Broadcasting, this time in syndication. This gave local stations the flexibility to air a 60 or 90-minute version day or night. Griffin's assistant, Arthur Treacher, became a favorite, introducing him with the style, "And now, here's the dear boy, Merv Griffin." CBS saw the success and offered Griffin a late-night slot in 1969, competing directly with Carson. For 3 years, Griffin battled the network, bringing his incisive interviewing style and daring choice of guests to a national audience. But controversy followed. Griffin refused to play it safe. He invited philosopher Bertrand Russell to protest the Vietnam War in 1965. The backlash was immediate. Newspapers called him a traitor, but he stuck to his guns. He welcomed voices like Abby Hoffman, Dick Gregory, George Carlin, and Norman Mailer, divisive but important. In one episode, Griffin paired comedian Phyllis Diller with Captain Mitsuo Fuchida, the planner of the attack on Pearl Harbor. It was a risk, but a very real one. By 1969, CBS executives were getting nervous. They pressured Griffin to bring in more pro-war guests. He refused. When Hoffman wore an American flag shirt, the censors blurred his image. Griffin called it a bunch of lines. They even wanted him to fire Treacher for being too old. He resisted. Though Griffin beat out the Joey Bishop show, he couldn't unseat Carson. CBS had fewer affiliates, and Griffin never had a fair chance. By 1972, fed up with the interference, he returned to syndication. That move saved the show. It ran for another 14 years without corporate control. Griffin's interviewing style stood out. Where Carson was cold and distant, Griffin leaned forward, exuding warmth. He wanted his guests to shine. He listened, asked follow-up questions. He genuinely cared. Instead of short promotional chats, he let conversations last 30 minutes or more. Over the years, he interviewed more than 25,000 guests. His favorite was Orson Welles, a director who appeared nearly 50 times. Griffin even devoted entire episodes to some guests, making them more like parlor conversations than entertainment. He even invited people with nothing to promote, like Eva Gabor, who came just to chat. The show was not only beloved by viewers, but also won 10 Emmys. In 1985 alone, it won the award for Best Directing and received 4 other nominations. The show's musical, directed by Mort Lindsay, was nominated back-to-back in 1970 and 1971. Griffin himself was nominated for a Golden Globe in 1971 for Best Actor in a Television Series Musical or Comedy. In 2008, a year after his death, he was inducted into the Television Hall of Fame. In 1963, Merv Griffin and his wife Julianne were on a flight back to New York. The 1950s quiz show scandal made television executives allergic to the genre. But Julianne had a bold idea. What if she gave the answer and let the contestants guess the question? She tried it on the plane. 5. 280, she said. Merv replied, "How many feet are in a mile?" That spark launched one of the most iconic shows in television history. On March 30th, 1964, Jeopardy aired its first episode. It was a smash hit. Art Fleming hosted. The format was clever, and the show felt like it was above any other daytime show. But there was one element that made Jeopardy last: the music. Griffin composed the tune "Think in a Minute" as a lullaby for his son. The 30-second piece earned him more than $100 million in royalties, making it one of the most profitable jingles of all time. But Griffin wasn't done yet. Around the same time, memories of childhood games with his sister sparked another idea: Hangman. Simple but catchy. He combined it with his passion for roulette wheels. He pitched the idea to NBC, but executive Lynn Boland said it needed more punch, especially to attract female viewers. They added shopping, created a bizarre pilot called Shopper's Bazaar with a vertical wheel and rotary dial phones, and finally perfected the final version. It debuted on January 6, 1975. It became the longest-running syndicated game show in history. By the mid-1980s, Griffin had turned his small production company into a game show empire. In 1986, he made a shocking move in Hollywood. He sold Merv Griffin Enterprises to Columbia Pictures for $250 million. At the time, it was the largest single-owner sale of an entertainment company. Griffin became the richest entertainer in Hollywood. But he negotiated a deal that most creators could only dream of: retaining the right to receive ongoing royalties. Even after the sale, the money kept rolling in. Spin-offs like Wheel 2000 Jeopardy and Rock and Roll Jeopardy used his original concept. But not all of them were successful. Griffin took a risk. In 1965, he created Let's Play Post Office, a quirky show on NBC set in a cartoon mailroom. Players answered pun-based clues with prizes ranging from $5 to $100. One clue: the temperature is 0. I tell you. The answer: 0 Mostel. The show lasted less than a year. 2 years later, he launched Reach for the Stars with music from Herb Alpert. It ran for only 65 episodes. These short-lived shows didn't slow his momentum, but they showed that he was always experimenting. Griffin built more than just a show. He built an empire. After a $250 million sale in 1986, he used his fortune to set his sights on something bigger. In December 1987, he bought the Beverly Hilton for $100.2 million. It had just undergone a $35 million renovation. It wasn't his first choice. He wanted the Beverly Hills Hotel, but it was taken over by the Sultan of Brunei. Still, the Beverly Hilton had a storied history, hosting presidents, movie stars, and big events. Under Griffin's ownership, it became the site of the Golden Globes and other Hollywood award shows. Critics said the hotel had lost its luster over time, but Griffin's showbiz touch made it an icon again. Then came the boldest gamble of all Resorts International. Donald Trump tried to take control, but Griffin resisted. The deal was long and complicated. In the end, Griffin paid $365 million, took on $925 million in debt, and paid Trump another $60 million to back out. He kept the Atlantic City hotels and the Paradise Island Resort. Trump kept the Taj Mahal Casino. Griffin called it a victory, but the joy was short-lived. He borrowed too much, mostly in junk bonds, with interest rates approaching 14%. Within a year, Resorts International was $70 million short on cash flow. In December 1989, the company filed for bankruptcy. Just a year after defeating Trump, Griffin's empire was crumbling. Still, he kept dreaming. In January 1998, he revived old Hollywood with Every Weekend, the Beverly Hilton was transformed into a glittering nightclub. Griffin wanted to recreate the magic of the 1940s with a golden palm tree, velvet chairs, and a huge dance floor. Big band music filled the air. Trumpeter Jack Sheldon leads the orchestra. Griffin played in such places as a young man. Now he owns them. The Coconut Club is not just a memory, it's a love letter to the past. In the bright lights of 1950s television, Merv Griffin was on the rise. He had charisma, ambition, and a growing roster of appearances. That's when he met Julianne Wright. She was a backstage secretary on the Robert Q. Lewis show. What started as a casual meeting soon became something special. They married in 1958 as Griffin's career began to soar. Few would have guessed that the pair would go on to shape one of television's most iconic shows, Jeopardy. Behind closed doors, Julianne helped Merv brainstorm ideas. She was never in the limelight, but her contributions shaped his empire. They had a son, Tony, in 1959. For 18 years, their marriage was strong. But as Merv's fame exploded, so did the distance. In 1976, they quietly divorced. There was no scandal, just a separation during what Merv called a time of doubt and uncertainty. Despite the separation, they remained close. Julianne continued to make her mark, founding the first Women's Bank of California and performing stand-up comedy. Unlike many Hollywood couples, they ended on good terms. Merv became a father at the height of his career. His son, Tony, was born on December 8, 1959. From there, people saw a softer side to the game show mogul. He kept Tony away from the chaos of showbiz, but Tony grew up in the middle of it. As an adult, Tony chose his own path, acting in movies like Spaceballs and later opening a vineyard in Malibu. When Merv died in August 2007, Tony gave an emotional eulogy. Arnold Schwarzenegger also spoke at the funeral, but Tony provided the most intimate insight. He called his father the Energizer Bunny. At 82, Merv was still as energetic as a young man. During the emotional ceremony, Tony's 12-year-old daughter Farrah read a passage. Younger son Donovan was chosen as an honorary pallbearer. The Griffin family remained strong despite the loss. In the late 1980s, Merv was often seen with Eva Gabor. The media couldn't take their eyes off them. They were constantly photographed at galas, parties, and red carpets. Rumors spread. Some thought they were in love. Others whispered about a wedding, even suggesting that Nancy Reagan might be maid of honor. But in 1990, Eva Gabor shut it all down. "We weren't in love," she said simply. Still, they were inseparable. They had met years earlier, but filming Return to Green Acres cemented their relationship. Hollywood insiders believe the relationship served two purposes: to provide genuine friendship and to shield Merv from questions about his personal life. When Eva died suddenly in July 1995, Merv was heartbroken. Her sister Zaza said he was like family. Whatever the real connection was, it lasted. Then came the lawsuits. On April 11, 1991, a man named Brent Plott shocked Hollywood. He filed a lawsuit claiming to have been Merv Griffin's lover and life partner for 9 years. He said they had been together since 1981, calling himself Griffin's lover, confidant, secretary, chauffeur, and advisor. And he wasn't just asking for a small amount, he was asking for $200 million. Plott claimed Griffin had promised to split everything, including his money from Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. He even said he helped create the wheel and chose Vanna White to flip the letters. Plott initially asked for $400,000, but then raised the asking price to $200 million. He said he gave up his antiques career and moved to Los Angeles just for Griffin. The story was shocking. Merv was quick and unhesitating. He denied everything, saying Plott was not his partner, just a former horse trainer and bodyguard who made $250 a week. He called the lawsuit an attempted extortion. Griffin's attorney called the allegations ridiculous. Merv even said Plott failed a polygraph test, though Plott's attorney denied the test had taken place. In November 1991, the case was abruptly dismissed. Griffin's team did not explain why. The silence only fueled the rumors. A month later, another shocker. Danae Terrio, the former host of Dance Fever, filed a sexual harassment lawsuit against Merv. The details were stark. Terrio said the abuse began before the show aired. He accused Griffin of pushing him onto a sofa, unzipping his pants, and groping him. He said the harassment lasted for years, including touching, kissing, and visits to private dressing rooms. He also claimed Griffin promised him ownership of the show and a share of the profits, but in reality used those promises to control him. Terrio waited until 1991 to come forward. He went into detail on the Geraldo Rivera show in 1992. Geraldo pressed the case, asking why he waited so long, challenging parts of his story, even bringing up the drug rumors of the past. The audience responded with awkward laughter. Terrio's lawyer claimed his client had passed a lie detector test. He challenged Griffin's team to do the same, even waving the test results on TV. Once again, the case never made it to trial. It was dismissed. But like Plott's lawsuit, the silence surrounding its conclusion raises questions. Some wonder if Griffin paid to make it all go away. By the early 2000s, he was worth more than $1 billion. Perhaps it was easier to make the problems go away. Whatever the truth, those lawsuits changed everything. Merv admitted nothing, but the details were reported in newspapers, aired on TV, and whispered around the industry. They came long before Hollywood really confronted the abuse of power, and they involved one of the biggest names in television. He blacklisted me, Terrio later said. I'm a horror story. He killed my career. Others in the industry were also alarmed by how quickly a powerful figure could silence someone, even if he didn't win a lawsuit. Merv Griffin lived one of the most public lives in America, but much about him remained hidden. In the early 2000s, Hollywood insiders had a secret language. It was a way to talk about someone being gay without using the word. In Merv's case, people used phrases like confirmed bachelor or simply mentioned his marriage to Julianne Wright, which ended in 1976. No one asked. Not even those who worked closely with him. Everyone knew, but no one talked about it. It was the rule. And Merv was one of the best at following it. He didn't just keep quiet. He created an image to hide the truth. Part of the most effective was his public friendship with Eva Gabor. They attended events together, were constantly in the press, even talked about getting married. To outsiders, it was a love story. To insiders, it was something else entirely. In Hollywood, there's a name for such a relationship: a front. It's a cover story. And it worked. Merv played his part well. When asked directly about his personal life, he didn't flinch. He cracked a joke. In 2005, he told the New York Times, "I tell people I'm a quadriplegic. I'll do anything to anybody for $0.25." That statement said nothing and said everything. He could laugh it off, deflect the rumors, and keep people guessing. But in 1991, things almost came crashing down. Two men, one a former employee and the other a TV host, sued him. One sought $200 million in a post-spousal support case. The other accused him of sexual harassment and sought $11.3 million. Big numbers, and the media was watching closely. But even then, Merv didn't panic. He increased his appearances with Eva Gabor at high-profile events as if nothing had changed. Eventually, both lawsuits were dismissed. The story died. But behind closed doors, things were different. People in the industry knew that Merv had lived with many male partners. Some said he had relationships with big names like Rock Hudson, James Dean, Peter Lawford. One biographer even said Merv had a male harem and paid people to bring in adult film stars. His staff may not have witnessed it firsthand, but they knew the truth. People just kept quiet. In 2006, with his health failing, Merv gave one of his last major interviews to Rolling Stone. The journalist asked him directly about his sexuality. Merv neither denied nor confirmed. "You ask an 80-year-old about sex right now, get real." That was his response. Another joke, and it worked. The journalist noted that Merv didn't say yes or no. He just changed the subject. Back to Eva Gabor, back to safety. Merv Griffin died on August 12, 2007 at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles at the age of 82. The prostate cancer he had beaten in 1996 had returned. As the news spread, tributes poured in. 5 days later, the funeral was held at the Church of the Good Shepherd in Beverly Hills. Nancy Reagan sat in the front row. Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger delivered the eulogy along with Merv's son, Tony. The room was filled with stars: Vanna White, Pat Sajak, Alex Trebek, Ellen DeGeneres, Ryan Seacrest, Dick Van Dyke. All came to say goodbye. Merv Griffin is buried at Westwood Village Memorial Park. His tombstone bears a final joke: "I won't be back," right after this message. The Game Show Network paid tribute with weekend marathons of his shows. Millions tuned in. They remember the laughs, the prizes, the spins. This is the story of Merv Griffin, the legendary creator of Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, but haunted by the 1991 scandal. From glory to darkness, his life is full of complications. What do you think? Can Merv overcome the shadow of the past? Comment, like, and subscribe to discover more showbiz secrets. See you again.